Well, good afternoon. It is me. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to a ride on the bike. It's been a long time since we had the cameras out on the bike. We treat that as a kind of thing for us these days. I want to say us, I mean me and the Penny Pit Stop. Out for a little ride in the sun after work. It's been a long day, 30 degrees. Thought we'd come out on the bike, and while we're at it, we can show you what the new Dyna looks like. So if you've been watching the videos for the last week or three, you've noticed I've got a Dyna switchback on the bench, and that the Fatboy has mysteriously disappeared. Well, yep, I did trade it in. Now, by way of a kind of explanation, a reason why. Now, I know we don't really share all the things we do on the bikes and in our lives with bikes with the whole of the internet, because so many people already do that. God, this road's terrible. Don't you love country lanes, eh? Yeah, we don't always share everything. We decided to change my bike. Didn't really make a big song and dance about it, but there was a reasoning behind it. There was a method, there was a thinking behind it. I didn't just decide I wanted something else. I'm not like that. I absolutely loved the Fatboy, and I do miss it already. It's been gone now for about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. This is a very different bike. I'll just suspend here for a minute. This has got to be the coolest location in our whole county. Whoop. Check out this bridge. How beautiful is that? God bless the English countryside, eh? I want that house up there. Alright, let's go for a ride. So yeah, so after about a year with the Fatboy, decided to change it. And there was a couple of reasons behind it, really, and a good bit of logic, good bit of proper, realistic logic. I did it for a reason. It wasn't just because I fancied a different bike. Let's get through this junction. I'll tell you about it. So yeah, the reasoning behind it was quite simple. The Fatboy was a 2005 bike, so 12 years old, there's nothing wrong with that. It wasn't an old bike by any means. But it did have 33,000 miles on the clock. And those of you who know, an 05 bike is a twin cam 1450, an 05 Harley Davidson big twin. I'm just going to put this down because there's some big bugs about. Yeah, an 05 Harley big twin is a 1450 twin cam, and they do have an Achilles heel. Many of you told me all about it. You warned me about it, but of course I did know many years ago about this. It was a very big thing, and that was the cam chain tensioner. Now, there were several reasons behind it, but long and the short of it is the cam chain tensioners on the 1450 twin cams were a liability. They were prone to break and self-destruct at about 30 to 35,000 miles. Now, not all of them, certainly not all of them. Sometimes it was, I would imagine, looking at the statistics that I know of from friends in the Harley servicing trade, probably 1 in every 50 Harleys with a 1450 motor would have a problem. 1 in 50, that's still too many. Now, they didn't deal with it as a recall because it didn't happen until those bikes were long since defunct and they'd moved on to the 96-inch engine, which was next in the queue, if you like. So they went from an 88-inch engine with a weak cam chain tensioner to a 96-inch, and they dealt with the tensioner there. So they eliminated the issue. They put an automatic cam chain tensioner in it, and they didn't break, and they don't break. Now, if the cam chain tensioner does break in your 1450, obviously the cam chain itself then has no tension, meaning that it's all floppy and sloppy. The camshafts go out of alignment, valves meet the pistons then get holes punched in them, and that debris goes down into the crank, that wrecks the crank, and basically you need a new motor, or you need about a £6,000 repair, so basically a new motor. Now I didn't want to obviously worry too much about that. Many of you did tell me about it, and I just thought, look, I'll deal with it if it comes to it. I checked it, obviously, I'm not an idiot. I took the casing off, I checked the cam chain tension, it was absolutely beautiful. I'm not so sure if it was even the original, it could have been a replacement. You can't tell because they all look the same. There was no upgraded version. But the one upgrade that it should have had, but it didn't have, was the gear-driven cam conversion. Now I'm not sure when that became available, perhaps one of you can tell me. But the gear-driven cam conversion was the only way, because it eliminated the whole tension of the whole lot. You just had gear-driven cams like a Triumph Bonneville or all those motors and everything else. So it was definitely the right solution, but it is woefully expensive to have done. I looked into it, I thought about it, I love my Fatboy, should I just get it done? And I decided that, yeah, if you're going to do it, it's about £1,000 to have done. So while you've got the cam chain tensioner system being eliminated and the cam shafts out of the bike on the bench, why would you put the same ones back in? Obviously you replace them because they've done 33,000 miles and they get scored and they get worn. So why would you also replace those cam shafts with standard ones? Because they cost exactly the same as upgraded ones, so like a B grind or something, so you get some lumpy cams like stage 2. So a full stage 2 gear driven cam conversion on a big twin at 2 or 3 grand, it's a lot of money. And is it worth it? You've still got a 33,000 mile engine, you can't polish a turd, it's a worn engine, you're not going to unwear it. So you make a decision, you then start thinking, or I then started thinking, is it time maybe to think, before I go making that decision to go ahead and have that done, do I instead just change the bike? Because what am I trying to do by changing the cams? I'm trying to make my 88-inch motor faster, because they are a little bit of a slug, let's face it. A 1450 twin cam is not a fast bike, not by any means. It is a bit of an old tractor, it really is nowadays. You know, 80, 90 mile an hour, that is it, game over. You ain't going any faster. You're then really risking your motor. So I decided to take a look around the market just to see what I might get for the old Fatboy in relation to a part exchange, and what kind of part exchange vehicle I could afford with a little bit of injection of cash, the kind of injection of cash that all that upgrade in the motor on the twin cam would have cost. You can see what I'm saying, can't you? It's logical, isn't it? It seems the market absolutely loved the Fatboy. I went to a Triumph main dealer. I didn't go to Harley because they're in the business of selling new Harley Davidsons, and you don't really get a great deal on second-hand to second-hand Harley. I can't afford a new Harley, I'm just a lowly mechanic. So I decided to look at a second-hand Dyna, and in particular a switchback, which is what this is. And I found this bike as a trade-in, and they just needed rid of it. Now every trade-in, I'll tell you that, I'm not going to go into length about this, but if I worked in the bike trade, and believe me, one thing you need to do is get those trade-in bikes sold quick. You need them out the door, because they represent all the profit and more of the initial new bike you sold. So trade-ins are a liability, you need them gone. And he was keen to do a deal, and he offered me a really, really good price on the Fatboy, because again, good salesman has numbers and contacts in their diary. He said, I've got someone I can phone up and sell your car, your Fatboy, tomorrow. And I believe he did, because it never even touched the website of the dealership I got it from. It just went straight out the door. So for actually less, for actually less than it cost to upgrade the engine on the Fatboy to a stage 2 tune with gear driven cams, I managed to upgrade the bike itself to the switchback, a bike that's 7 years newer, and having only 10,000 miles on the clock, this is 23,000 miles less in mileage. So for over 20,000 miles less and 7 years newer, I managed to simply upgrade to a better bike. I've now got a 103-inch engine, a superior engine in every way. It is colossally quick compared to the Fatboy, and I'm so happy with what I've got. But you asked for a walk round and a look-see, so we've come to a little countryside spot for a relax. So while we're doing that, we're going to pull into the churchyard here. I'm going to show you all around it. You can see what bike we've got. Let's see what you think. Right, there we go. It's a 2012 FLD switchback. Now obviously it's not standard colours. This previous owners have done some serious work turning this into something a little bit different to the average switchback. It's a switchback's an FLD, that's its kind of model number. It's to put it in its right context, the switchback is a replacement for what was the Dyna convertible. If you know your Harley history, if you're a bit of a Harley lover, then you may remember back in the 1990s there was a model called the Dyna Convertible, and it simply had a screen and a backrest and some bags that you could just remove and turn it into a naked, or convert it into a naked Dyna. So it was a convertible. They call this the switchback, not because it goes on twisty roads, but because you can switch it from a Tourer, which it kind of looks like, into a naked, or switch it back into a naked Dyna. Not quite, because you've still got the big Willington boot mud guards and the big Road King style headlight, which I absolutely love. These are an extra. It doesn't come with them normally. As with the paint, they're always one colour. I think they're just black, blue or red. They're pretty boring, the colours they come in, but a previous owner's had this done. From what I can work out, from what he said, it's a 1961 police paint job, or thereabouts. It varies a lot. I've looked at lots of pictures. If you just Google Duo Glide, 1961 Duo Glide police bike, that's the kind of paint job it had. It would have black wheels because they didn't pay for chrome. You'd have the black and the cream. I mean, that's Empire white for what it's worth, and vivid blacks. That's an original. This is all Harley paint, and the guy had it done long before I bought it, so it's just a little bit of something I've inherited. They've done a lovely job of it. These lines, you can't feel them. They're so beautifully lacquered in. It's a really, really nice bike. And again, 2012, so I've come forward 7 years in age, and I've dropped 23,000 miles off the engine's mileage, and I've got a 103 engine, which is 25% more powerful than the old 88. I could not possibly have achieved that engine reliability and power output for the money I spent to change the bike. It was a no-brainer. Changing the bike to a newer version, coming to a dyno where you get better handling, it was just honestly the right thing to do. It was the correct option in every single way. It's a beautiful bike. I absolutely love it. It handles better than the Fatboy because it's a dyno, because they just do. It's a little bit shorter. You get about 1.5 inches less between the axles in the Dyna platform. So really what it is, if you want to kind of pigeonhole it anywhere, it's a miniature version of a Road King. If you look at the Road King and then you glance at that, it's practically the same bike. The difference is it's lighter by about 50-60 kilos than a Road King, because they're an absolute truck, those things, and it is a little bit shorter. The boxes are a bit smaller, or bags as Harley call them, but I've still got all the great removable stuff. It has got a screen. It's got the big field goal screen that you get like a police bike screen. I don't like them, so I just took it off straight away. These are an extra. The boxes just unclip. It's a toggle inside. I'm not going to do a review on a switchback. There's shed loads of those on the net. All I wanted to do was show you what we got. So there will be some videos coming up on it. Not sure exactly what, just maintenance I'm going to do in the future. I'll do the 3 oils change again, because it is very slightly different to the Softail, but it's not that different. The Softail videos will translate. You know, the engine oil goes in here on a Dyna, not on a tank on up there like it did before. But basically where you put it in is irrelevant. It's the same principle. So much translates with Harleys all the way across the board from one bike to the next. And I absolutely love this. The paint makes it a little bit different. It's got the right look, it's got the right feel, it handles far better. It's a nicer riding position than the Fatboy. That was always a bit slouched. and I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with the bike. So thanks for all your cool support, absolutely love that. I normally ride it, I've got a little bare bones Lipera seat for it, little solo, and I take the backrest and the seat off. I just ride it bare bones when I'm not with Penny Pit Stop, but tonight we just wanted to come out for a little ride. So we're going to carry on and do a bit more of that. We'll take you with us. Cool. So there we are, a 7-year newer bike, 25% more power, 22,000 miles less on the clock, and for less than the price it would have cost to buy a stage 2 conversion on the Fatboy. Absolutely a no-brainer, don't you think? Well, I do. That's how I sold it to her anyway. Let's have a drink. Now this is what you call place to stop and have a drink. There you go. There you go. That'll do, wouldn't it?